good? What's good, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. It is Skills Reacts, and we are back with another update on 3i Atlas. Yes, you heard what I said. Another update from your one and only Harvard scientist, right? Loab. So he's dropping a scientific update on 3i Atlas, and I thought you guys should be updated and aware of this. So we are going to be breaking it down here. I'm going to show you guys what has just been posted as of right now. It is 146/11/2025. All right, so what we got here, you guys, is Loab's post on Medium. Okay, so if you guys don't see, watch, I can show you right here. So Loab's post on Medium, as you guys see right here. Okay, and what it says is, we're going to break this down. The remarkable large-scale structure of anti-tail and tail jets from 3i Atlas. Woo! Now tell me, what do you guys think that means? Now, this isn't just a long burst of energy or dust or whatever. This is pretty much H2O, I believe they're saying, and these only went on for 3 minutes. This didn't happen. We didn't see a tail when it went behind our sun, when it got closest to our sun. We didn't see that tail or nothing. But right now, all of a sudden, within 3 pictures of, I think, 3 minutes or so, let me see right here. 3 pictures, 5 exposures lasting 3 minutes. That's what it was. 5 exposures lasting 3 minutes. It shows plumes of a burst of some type of tail right there. It's like outgassing, just boom. But it's only for 3 minutes. Like, if it's it has to be technological for it to only shoot out boom, boom in a certain direction and make tiny technological movements. Like the way it deviated from its space, its non-gravitational deviation. Come on, let's check this out here. So this is what does it say. I'm going to read it to you. This is the picture right here. If you guys can get into it, watch, we will. Show you guys that picture there. Oh, my bad. All right. Wait, is there a way we can let's see, open image and new tab. Open image, new tab. All right, so there we go. Now let's check this image out here. Okay. Look at this. Now, only for 3 minutes. These are 5 captures. 5 captures of 3 minutes. And all of a sudden, it just throws boom, boom, boom. These little bursts of outgassing, like thrusters. That would be explained by thrusters, right? So that's another anomaly that seems to be technological. Now let's see what Harvard expert Loab has to say on this subject. Today, a magnificent large-scale image of the interstellar object 3i Atlas was reported here by Frank Nibbling and Michael Buchner. The stacked images combines a series of 5 exposures, each lasting 3 minutes, from 2 telescopes, TEC 140/f5 and ACI 6200 millimeter, between 5:08 and 5:22 UT on November 9th, 2029. Okay, The image shows 2 anti-tail jets out to 10 arcminutes towards the sun. The image shows 2 anti-tail jets out to 10 arcminutes towards the sun, accompanied by no longer collimated jet extended away from the sun out to an angular separation of 30 arcminutes, roughly the diameter of the sun or the moon. So it blew out the size. That jet was as big as the moon, pretty much. It's as big as the moon. Like if you could sit the moon, it would be from left to right and it would be right there. That's how big the outgas was, and it was only 3 minutes. The image shows 2 anti-tail jets out of the 10 arcminutes towards the sun, accompanied by a longer collimated jet extended away from the sun out to an angular separation of 30 arcminutes, roughly the diameter of the sun or the moon. At the current distance of 3i Atlas from Earth, 326 million kilometers, these angular extents correspond to spatial sizes of 0.95 million kilometers for the sunward anti-tail jets and 2.85 million kilometers for the tail jet away from the sun. The enormous spatial scale is 3 orders of magnitude larger than the scale of the glowing halo around 3i Atlas in the Hubble Space Telescope image from July 21st. 2025. All right. So he says the multi-jet structure constitutes a remarkable target for future observations with the Hubble and Webb telescopes, as 3i Atlas will arrive at the closest approach to Earth on December 19th. December 19th, 2025. Its minimal distance from Earth will be 269 million kilometers, about 100 times larger than the extent of the jet structure in today's images. It is therefore unlikely that particle probes on Earth-based satellites will be able to capture particles from these jets. The same holds for the particle detectors on NASA's Juno spacecraft around Jupiter. Discussion here, which will probe 3i Atlas on March 16th, 2026 from a distance of 52 million kilometers, an order of magnitude larger than the extent of the current jet structure. Similarly, ESA's JUICE spacecraft is on its way to Jupiter. It is currently 64 million kilometers from 3i Atlas and unable to interrupt these jets. So there's pretty much nothing that can intercept these jets right now. To see what it is or to get a flyby, see what these particles are. But yeah, it is crazy. It is crazy. It's making its own deviations as if it's using thrusters. And we got to pay attention and make sure they don't send nothing our way. Definitely. I wanted you guys to definitely see that. And this is his scientific update. This is his scientific update, Avi Loab's on Medium, right? Okay, given that the anti-tail jets are only stopped at a distance of 1 million kilometers, implies that their ram pressure exceeds that of the solar wind out to that distance. The solar wind is flowing at a speed of about 400 kilometers per second, which is 1,000 times larger than the outflow speed from a natural comet. 1,000 times faster outflow than a natural comet. Since ram pressure scales as speed squared, this means that the outermost mass density in the anti-tail is 1,000,000 times bigger than that of a solar wind. A few proton masses or cubic centimeters, the outermost mass density of a jet gives a mass flux of 200 million kilograms per second. Whew. Per million kilometers square, summoning over an area of order 10 million kilometers squared, yields a mass rate of 50 billion tons per month. What? That's a lot. This mass is comparable to the minimum mass associated with 3i Atlas, 33 billion tons that I calculated here from the lack of non-gravitational acceleration in months preceding October 25. Right there. It says, I calculated, 33 billion tons that I calculated here from the lack of non-gravitational acceleration in months preceding to October 2025. non-gravitational acceleration. That means that it did not move according to the path that it should have moved. It deviated. It moved on its own like a technological ship. It moved on its own away from the designated path. That's what they're trying to say right here. That's what they're saying. That's it. It deviated away from its normal path and is throwing out certain outgassing whenever it wants to, not when it's expected to, not when it's supposed to. It does it for 3 minutes, and then five shots in a 3-minute span. It blew out outgassing just to make those tiny little deviations that it needed to make. So that is another very anomalous thing about 3i Atlas. Assuming a solid density of 0.5 grams per cubic centimeters, this means that the diameter of 3i Atlas must be bigger than 5 kilometers. Really, bro?
I do what?
Are you making noise and throwing stuff, bro? Assuming a solid density, okay, we already read that. Comment of most nucleus. Okay, if it is natural comet, and most of its nucleus survived perihelion, which is the closest to the sun, survived the perihelion, which is the closest spot to the sun, which it should be destroyed or disintegrated or heated up and just disintegrated. That's what comets do. They break apart and disintegrate when they head towards the sun. This did not do that. And it's going faster without losing any mass. Okay. So that's definitely something that raises eyebrows. This raises the first and most importantly anomaly that I pointed out. Can you come get this kid?
Hey, Nike, down to my bottle. My bottle.
To my door, bro. Over and over and over, I'm telling you, bro. Damn. This raises the first and most important anomaly that I pointed out in my first paper on 3i Atlas. Published here, the inferred mass of over 50 billion tons is at least 1 million times more than the infrared mass of Oumuamua. So this thing, wow. 1 million times more than the infrared mass of Oumuamua. Why were we so fortunate to receive such a giant object as a third in the list of interstellar objects before witnessing 1 million objects the size of Oumuamua? As I showed in my paper, there is not enough rocky material in interstellar space to accommodate the delivery of such a giant icy rock to the inner solar system. Over our survey period of a decade, we would expect an object with a diameter of above 10 kilometers to be delivered to our vicinity once per 10,000 years or longer. This anomaly has a likelihood of less than 0.1%. If all rocky materials are packaged in large bodies of this size, or less than 0.0005%, if there is equal amount of total mass per logarithmic package mass interval. Combine that with the 0.2 probability of the retrograde trajectory of 3i Atlas being aligned to the within 5 degrees of the ecliptic plane. So it's lining up with all the planets, bro. That is a 0.0005% that it would line up with all the planets like this, in a way that it's like a perfect route to do reconnaissance to our whole galaxy, right? 3i Atlas being aligned to within 5 degrees within the ecliptic plane, and you get a chance of 1 in 100 million. 1 in 100 million for 3i Atlas to originate at random from a natural comet from interstellar space. What do you guys think about that comment right there? Look at that, bro, right here. Combine that with the 0.2% probability of the retrograde trajectory of 3i Atlas being aligned within 3 degrees or 5 degrees with the ecliptic plane, and you get a chance of 1 in 100 million. 1 in 100 million. I mean, if there was 100 million needles in a bucket, and you wanted to pick one tiny one, you went and grabbed a handful of 5. The chance of that 5 being the 5 that you wanted, that's basically, yeah, 5 in 100 million. There's no way. If, however, we consider the possibility that the jets emanating from 3i Atlas are associated with technological thrusters, then the required mass loss can be 1 to 2 orders of magnitude smaller with the human-made technologies. Chemical rockets are propelled by an exhaust speed of 3.5 kilometers per second, which is 10 times larger than the maximum ejection speed of volatiles, sublimating by some light from cometary surfaces. So, things that break off in our galaxy, that's normal, don't go this fast. They go very slow. Not very slow, but they go at the same speed as everything else in our galaxy. It's all going the speed of the gravity of the sun that's spinning them in our orbit, right? So this thing is going way faster. Let's see what else we got here. Bro, are we really getting lag? Bro, we are really getting lag. Okay. All right. When the required mass loss can be 1 to 2 orders of magnitude smaller with human-made technologies. Okay. Employ thruster. Okay. Furthermore, alien technology might employ thrusters with yet higher speeds, reducing the required mass loss by more than 2 orders of magnitude and making the required fuel less than 1% of the mass of the spacecraft. Even these considerations, is 3i Atlas of natural or technological origin? That is the question right there. Given these considerations, is 3i Atlas of natural or technological origin? That's what we want to know. Okay. Upcoming spectroscopic observations will allow us to determine the velocity, mass flux, and composition of the jets to hence answer this foundational question. Given these considerations, is 3i Atlas natural or technological? That's the question. The foundation of pioneering scientific research is the humility to learn, rather than the arrogance of expertise. Avi Loab. Shout out to Avi Loab. Wonderful update. And this is supposed to be his paper that he has. Let's see. Avi Loab is this is a little background on Avi Loab. Avi Loab is the head of a Galileo project, founding director of Harvard University's Black Hole Initiative, director of the Institute of Theory and Computation at the Harvard Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics, and the former chair of the astronomy department at Harvard University. Wow. Guys, no joke, bro. No joke. So I just wanted to bring that out to you guys. That was very, very informal right there. I'll show you guys the pictures again. You know what? We need to take a screenshot of these pictures as well. Let's do that. Boom, 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 boom. All right. So now that we got that, let's see what else we got here. Okay, is the new, okay, so this one was 19 hours ago. Let's check this one out. Is the new nearly interstellar object C 2025 V1 related to 3i Atlas? So this is talking about the object that is between us and 3i Atlas. That's kind of going in line with 3i Atlas. That's why we want to know, is it a part of it? Okay. This right here is the observation. An image of a new object, C25, taken November 3rd, 2025. No cometary tail is visible. The sunward direction is towards the upper right corner. So the sun's direction is over here to the right. So there should be a comet right here. There should be a tail right here. If it, I mean, not a comet. There should be a tail right here if it was a comet. And this is 3i Atlas. This is the object. The sun is this way. All right. So in the Newsmax interview this morning, available here, I was asked about a new nearly interstellar object that was just discovered in the inner solar system after the perihelion passage of the interstellar object 3i Atlas. On the morning of November 2nd, 2025, the astronomer Gennady Borisov discovered of the interstellar comet 21 Borisov. 21 Borisov was the comet that had something behind it that was pretty much following it. There was something behind it in the tail, and this was about what, 6 years ago, 4 to 6 years ago. It was a big thing back then, right? Early 2000s, I believe. So, yeah, 2019. That's what it was right there. 21 Borisov in 2019 identified a new nearly interstellar object, which is officially labeled C25 Borisov. The object is by now cataloged by NASA's JPL and by the Minor Planet Center. The orbit of C25V1 is inclined by 113 degrees relative to the ecliptic plane and follows an orbital plane that is nearly perpendicular to the orbit of 3i Atlas. Similarly, C2025-4 does not display a clear cometary tail. The orbital eccentricity of C25-4 is 1.0095 with the uncertainty of 0.0026. It would have been defined as unbound by gravity to the sun, or equivalently a truly interstellar object, if its actually eccentricity was known to exceed 1 by a large margin. However, C25V1 most likely originated from the Oort cloud at the outskirts of the solar system. The reason for this association is that if we integrate the motion of C25-4 Borisov all the way back to a distance of 1,000 times the Earth-Sun separation, astronomical units, where planets cannot affect it, and then recompute the orbit, a value of eccentricity so close, one will likely drop below. 1. A small gravitational impulse from Jupiter near perihelion is sufficient to make a bound Oort cloud object appear slightly hyperbolic in the heliocentric orbital fit of JPL. In addition, unmodeled outgassing can easily shift an apparent eccentricity to a value of below 1. Okay, so basically outgassing can cause an object to speed up, but only when it's losing a certain amount of mass that would account for the velocity changing, right? Okay, C25V1 is not related to 3i Atlas if it did not employ non-gravitational propulsion. The closest separation of the two orbits is 75 million kilometers, 0.5 astronomical units, and the objects were never closer than 225 million kilometers, 1.5 astronomical units. From each other without propulsion, the measured non-gravitational acceleration of 3i Atlas is inefficient to bridge the gap between C25 Borisov. Okay, the latest images of 3i Atlas show a complex structure of at least 7 jets, as discussed here. Given that the large number of the jets appeared in opposite directions, the reported non-gravitational acceleration of 3i Atlas, as discussed here, requires much more than 10 to 20% of its initial mass to have been ejected near perihelion. So what they're saying is that it needed, for it to be explained in a natural way, it needed to lose at least 10 to 20% of its mass to basically explain the amount of velocity that it sped up. Okay, and we do not see that. Pretty much what they're saying right there. And at the perihelion, so at the closest approach to its sun, where it's supposed to lose mass, it doesn't lose the mass, but it speeds up in a really fast way. Okay, 3i Atlas, since it's lost its major fraction of its body mass to an unbound plume of gas, the composition of the debris gas cloud can be determined through spectroscopy by the Webb telescope at 3i Atlas gets closer to the Earth on December 19th. In contrast, technological thrusters could give the interstellar visitor a boost, with much less mass jetted out. In a technological context, the required momentum is delivered at a higher gas speed. Chemical rockets are propelled by an exhaust speed of 3 to 5 kilometers per second, which is 10 times larger than the maximum ejection speed of volatiles that are sublimated by sunlight for cometary surfaces. Ion thrusters reach an even higher ejection speed of 10 to 50 kilometers per second. So this thing could be thrusters that we've seen, especially because it was only 5 images of 3 minutes, right? It would be easy to test whether 3i Atlas is natural or technological by measuring the outflow velocity, mass flux, and composition of its jets during the coming month, leading to the perigee on December 19, 2025. As I mentioned in the new interview on News Station, let us hope 3i Atlas will not deliver any unwanted gifts to Earth during our holiday season. Ooh, boy, is he breaking that down. He's breaking that down, boy. Let me know what you guys think, though. Let me know. Let's go back to these images right here. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think 3i Atlas is technological with everything and all the evidence that is pointing to that? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. This is Skills Reacts. Stay alert, stay alive, and I'll see you next time. Peace.